So last week we looked at this work, Mahalia, We Love You, by Faith Ringgold, and how this portrait was both a portrait of Mahalia, the gospel singer, but also the words represented how her legacy was to be remembered. Now, we chose a famous African American, and we found words that represented their legacy. So today I'm going to show you how to transfer an image of them onto our extra paper. So you want to put your quilt aside, and you want to take your extra paper, and I will have Xerox copies for you of your person. Now you need to decide which is going to look best, because once we do the transfer, it's going to be the ink onto the pattern. So less pattern might be better, but it depends. Also think about where the picture is going to land. So I'm gonna choose the yellow stripe one eventually, and I'm gonna use that because it's a little less busy and it'll be a little easier to see her face. All right, so I'm gonna trim around her face. I don't think it's really necessary, but if you have a busy background, it might be good to do. But all that's going to stay on her paper, like I said a second ago, was the ink. Everything that is the black ink, and everything that's white paper is going to go away. Let me show you how that works. So the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out how we're going to put the image on. Remember, it's going to be backwards. But we're going to take a very large brush and some Mod Podge, and we're going to brush the surface, so the paper first. We want a thin layer, but we want it to be a continuous layer, not too thick, but thick enough that it is solid, not streaky. So I'm going to use quite a bit of this, and I'm just going to carefully brush it on. A little bigger than the picture, which is okay. After I brush it on, I'm going to put her face down, and then this actually needs to dry for a few hours or overnight, so we will be doing the transfer process or the peeling kind of process next time. But I'm going to take a minute before I leave it alone to really make sure the entire picture is in contact with the Mod Podge. So carefully trying to rub it without getting any Mod Podge on the back. So this actually might have been better with the rectangular shape rather than cutting out the face, but making sure that there is full contact. All right, now it's been a full day. For you guys, it might be a week. And I'm going to take water, and see how I'm just wetting my fingers and putting water on the back of the picture. My goal is to roll off the paper, the white paper. So look, I'm holding it so that my fingers are holding the paper down on my left hand as I roll the paper pulp off of the ink. Where the Mod Podge is, it shouldn't rip, but you still want to be pretty gentle. I would say try to hold the paper down and roll from the middle away from you instead of back and forth as much. So roll away from you, away, 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 away. You may have to turn the picture around for the second part, and you'll actually see me accidentally rip the paper, which is okay. So rolling away from the middle of the picture to get the paper off the edge. So what you're seeing is that the ink, the black ink, is staying there while the paper is coming off. So any part of white paper that was there is actually showing through the pattern paper. So see how this didn't really work that well? I'm going to flip my paper around in a minute and try to just push away from the middle of the picture. We're doing 2 of these just to make sure, so don't worry if one completely messes up. We have 2 just to see how it works. This is not a perfect process, but it's pretty cool for transferring an image to a pattern piece of paper. All right, so I'm gonna pick this up. We can see that, like I said, everything that was white paper, you can see the background behind now. All the black ink is on top of it, creating a seamless print on top of our paper. Now, I'm gonna cut her face out, maybe make the bottom a little less square before I place it into the middle of my quilt that's about her. So you probably want to do this when it's dry. I'm going to do it when it's wet just so that way I can show you. But this way we can have a seamless image of her inside of our story quilt. So once again, I'm going to make sure this is completely dry before I glue it down, but look how seamless and unified that looks now with our image that has been transferred onto the same kind of texture. And here's my Maya Angelou portrait inspired by Faith Ringgold.